Welcome to the Game Sense Football Podcast. I'm Ewan and with me is Nas.
Hello.
And in today's episode, we'll be talking about Manchester United once again. So much has been going on since the end of last season. Erik ten Hag is staying. It looks like the team is competent once again.
Yep. New
signings as well. And I think that's not the end of it as well. So we are here to discuss it with our friend, Greg, who's also a Manchester United fan. And remember, guys, before we continue, do follow us on our social media platforms, namely Instagram, actually. You can find us at GameSense Football on Instagram. Or you can drop us an email if you have any suggestions for content or just general feedback.
Yes.
Or if you want to be pen pals. So you can reach us at gamesensefootball@gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing from you. Let's get on with our episode. Hello, Greg. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So, Greg is a Manchester United fan as well. So, fans of other teams, do beware. We have 3 United fans on the podcast today. So, Greg, I think we start with a little bit of introductions. Maybe you can share with us how you started supporting United.
Wow. That was a really long time ago, back all the way to I started out liking United thanks to Erik Cantona because the name was cool. The guy was cool. And he scored that crazy goal against Liverpool in the FA Cup final.
The volley.
Yeah, the volley. And although I only really got seriously into United around NS, so that was in the early 2000s-ish. And then when Jose started coming to rock the apple cart.
Yep.
And
Yes.
it's been quite a crazy ride ever since.
Yeah. You're quite crazy. I remember. So I remember when United did play badly, you would get pretty angry over social media sometimes.
But yes, time has mellowed me.
Okay, I think let's get into the current state of United. I think
Yes.
that's what we are here to discuss. Greg, what do you think about Erik ten Hag staying and also the new upper management? Positive so far, you think?
So far so good. I think Ineos have come in and they've hit the ground running, and there actually seems to be an air of competence around Old Trafford right now, which we've been sorely lacking for ever since Fergie and Gill left the club. It's been pretty good so far under Jim Ratcliffe and co. But I think more needs to be done. As we've seen so far in pre-season with after losing Yoro and Hoyland to injury, we need to take a look at that area. And also beyond the men's team, I think there's some work that needs to be done the women's team as well. But overall, so far, looks good, and hoping for more to come.
One question about that: do you think Erik ten Hag should have stayed? Is that what you feel was the best decision?
I think it was the right call. I know if you look at the candidates like Tuchel, Pochettino, I mean, sure, I'm sure there was some section of United fans clamoring for Pochettino, especially since he was the front runner, one of the front runners for a very long time, and now that he's suddenly available, and there was so much talk about Ten Hag leaving, but I think the funny thing is we know that there's a team there. He has a plan. He had a plan in his first season, and last season I think he tried to change things around too much, and I think, and eventually also injuries hit. There were some major flaws in in keeping Ten Hag, not in keeping him, but there were some flaws in his game plan last season. But I think keeping him was probably the right call.
Yeah, I think that's what Nas and I also discussed previously, in earlier episodes. The manager shortlist to replace Ten Hag wasn't good enough. And like you mentioned, Pochettino, he's like the manager version of Wesley Schneider for us. Yeah. And the unfortunate thing is that I think he is a little bit, past his best. At least we haven't seen him at his best for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, Ten Hag in his 2 seasons has already won more than Poch in more seasons in the Premier League. But I wanted to ask, Greg, so you mentioned that Ten Hag has his flaws, and I think nobody would disagree with that assessment. But in your opinion, what's his biggest flaw?
I think we kind of saw it last season when the injuries hit.
Mm.
There's no plan B. I think that's one of the biggest problems with Ten Hag. Like, even though there clearly was a problem with all the shots we were conceding, there didn't seem to be a plan to maybe only towards the later part of the season when, after the injury problem seemed to clear up a little bit and then it came back again.
Mm.
Then I think he kind of realized that, okay, yeah, we need to change things a little bit and give the defense a bit more cover. But I think he needs to be a bit more flexible, and yeah, that's the main thing, I guess. Ten Hag is a great manager because so far we've seen it with his how he coaches. He can coach. We've seen it with guys like Wan-Bissaka who he looks like he could leave now, but it looked like he was his career was a dead end at United, and he came back and kind of up his game a bit. And also now we've seen the rise of guys like Kobe Menu, and looks like we also have more promising youngsters that he's keen on cultivating. So it'll be interesting to see how he kicks on from the season.
A lot of people talk about players like Wan-Bissaka, like Harry Maguire, like Jadon Sancho, Anthony, Scott McTominay, and all. Do you think that there'll be a lot of players, movement of players out?
Yes, definitely. I think the squad definitely needs some pruning. Especially when it comes to guys like Lindelof, Casemiro, Anthony. Okay, mostly the ones I see really going probably Victor Lindelof. Maybe Wan-Bissaka if they can find the right deal for him. Although yeah, I think a lot of the players, a lot of outgoings are gonna be kind of like in the case of Wan-Bissaka. If we can find a buyer, sure. I think it's time to move them on and clean house and get someone else new in. But in that sense, Ineos have come in and we've really seen four big major deals take place with Kambuala and Greenwood leaving, and Zirkzee and Yoro coming in. So hopefully, as much as I want, as good as the start of this transfer window has been, there's still a lot more work to do.
There's a rumor that United have agreed a fee with Bayern for Mazraoui as we record now. Another right back, because we did mention Wan-Bissaka just now. Would you get rid of Wan-Bissaka?
Wan-Bissaka is a good, curious case because like I said, he's come good, but at the end of the day, if he's not going to sign a new deal, then maybe it's time to move him on, and maybe get a more progressive right back in.
I think, Nas, your question, about will a lot of players be moving out? I think one of the things that is relevant to mention would be that in order to reinforce the squad, they actually need to get rid of players first, right?
Yes.
Because of FFP, PSR, blah blah blah, OMG, whatever. Yep. And the thing is, the other problem is what Greg said. So Erik ten Hag last season, when he had a lot of injuries, he struggled to stamp his basically his style onto the team that was available to him. And this was probably a problem, right, with squad depth. Well, we did have the depth, but we did not have the suitable players that would suit his style as backup. And in order to actually get that going, we do need to get rid of the players who do not suit his style. And Wan-Bissaka, I think, is one player who, even though he has come good, doesn't really suit Ten Hag ball that much.
Yeah. No, I agree. Mazraoui is definitely more of a Ten Hag player. I mean, he played under Ten Hag, played behind Anthony for a couple of years. Mazraoui, good defender, very good passing. Not actually like the flying wingback kind, but definitely for the style of football Ten Hag supposedly wants to play, Mazraoui would be an upgrade over Wan-Bissaka. It's probably debatable if it's better than Dalot. So I think probably we have to see how much United might be spending on Mazraoui.
I would be interested to see how the management responds to the Yoro injury, Højlund injury. Højlund's injury doesn't seem to be so serious from what I've been reading, but there's not been an update on Yoro at the time of recording. So I wonder if that will push them to actually go ahead to close the delete deal.
Yeah, definitely. I think the moment Euro went down, I guess a lot of United fans like had a sense of deja vu, like, oh God, another defender out.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I guess with Bayern kind of holding fast on that 50 million euro valuation on De Ligt, I think it kind of their hand is kind of strengthened a bit. The irony is that they also have lost the centre back with Ito also succumbing to the dreaded metatarsal.
Mm.
Mhm.
So someone somewhere's got to give in this transfer merry-go-round. So
Yeah. Pure speculation here. And I know you Ewan, you don't really like pure speculation. Maybe impure speculation also, but if United have everyone fit, Lisandro Martinez, Lenny Yoro, Matthias de Ligt, and maybe one of Harry Maguire or Victor Lindelof, who starts in a back four?
Starts.
Mm.
I would say actually Lisandro Martinez is
Mhm.
safe on the left, I think. And so between Delete and Euro, I would say Delete actually for the experience.
Okay. Greg, what do
Yep.
you think?
So same because Yoro's good. I think we saw in the Rangers game, we saw a lot of his ability to tackle, his speed, his physicality. I think he's definitely there's a reason why Real Madrid really wanted him
Mm.
and why we stumped up so much money for him. But yeah, I think he will probably share, and especially given the question marks over De Ligt's fitness in recent seasons, I think it will be he'll probably share the role with Yoro, and De Ligt will probably share that role. But I think De Ligt will probably be the more senior guy who gets the nod first, and then occasionally rotates out with Yoro.
Yeah, I mean, Euro is 18. And I feel that he's still developing his game a little. He needs to refine it. So as a defender, he's very physical, as in terms of, he has he makes very good use of his speed
Mm.
and his size, right? But from the clips I've seen on him, it looks like he does sometimes depend a lot too much on it, maybe.
Yep.
Reminds me a little bit of Aaron Bissaka, well, his tackling is so good, he's so fast, but the reason why we are seeing that so often is because he's usually out of position.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I feel also.
yeah. So Yoro has a bit of that, right?
Yeah, his speed, his long legs, his reach to compensate basically for being out of position sometimes.
Yep. So I think, being 18, there's still room for him to develop.
Mm.
And of course, Delete being a bit dodgy with his fitness, he could be a first choice starter, but like Greg said, be rotated with Euro still
Yeah.
quite frequently.
Even then, at 50 million euros, you've got to admit that's a heck of a price for like a top of the line international centre back who is still only just somehow only 24.
Mhm. Definitely better value than 70 mil for Brentwaite.
Brentwaite, yeah. I did see a stat today though that Jared Brentwaite in the top 5 leagues is second for number of duels won in the past 1 or
Wow.
2 seasons. Lenny Yoro is fifth.
Ah.
Yeah. I mean, you could also argue that because this is number of duels, not adjusted for possession. So I mean, Brentwaite plays for Everton, who have very little of the ball, so he takes part in a lot of duels.
Makes sense. Yes.
With the squad we have now, okay, assuming everyone is fit and no new transfers are coming in, right? Greg, what's your starting lineup for this coming season?
Oh man, I hope that's not the case.
Well, okay. Start at the back, Onana. Left back, Shaw. Martinez on the left. Without any further current ins and outs.
Yep.
Definitely got to be Yoro on the right.
Mhm.
Dallo at right back. Defensive midfields are still a big problem, but I guess it's most likely going to be You definitely have to put Casemiro there alongside probably obviously Kobe Mainoo. Bruno as a number 10. Yeah, it's Højlund up top with Rashford and Garnacho on the wings.
So Garnacho on the right?
Yeah, Garnacho on the right probably. Even though, I mean, yeah, we need to stop signing left wingers, man. Yeah, I mean it just blows my mind to think that United have been signing. Okay, we have a problem with the right wing. Let's sign Jadon Sancho, who actually prefers to play on the left. Doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Ewan, do you agree with his lineup?
Yeah, I mean, there's very little room to maneuver if nothing else changes.
Is there a case for Amrabat starting over Casemiro?
Is Amrabat in?
He's listed on the United website, so
Yeah, but I don't believe they've confirmed his that he's staying, right?
I'm not sure. Because he's listed on the site, I would assume that he's there.
They haven't triggered the clause yet, but apparently I think he'll probably like. I won't be surprised on 31st August if we haven't signed Ugarte, we just go in,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
give the money to Fiorentina and he's back in the team.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. So just as of today, Amrabat is still there. So with that in mind, if we don't get Ugarte or somebody else in midfield, would you start Amrabat over Casemiro?
I think for a start, I would actually.
Okay.
He ended the season on a high note, and Casemiro has been pretty consistent last season, consistently bad, right? So of course there's the whole spell where he was at centre back. I wouldn't really put that on him, but even in CDM, he hasn't been very good.
Yeah.
We've seen that he has kind of fallen off a cliff. Definitely Amrabat over Casemiro, although that's not really the ideal option.
Is there a case for Mason Mount anyway?
Unfortunately, I think he seems to be more of a backup to Bruno kind of guy. I know he could be a backup to Kobe Mainoo as well. He's a bit versatile that way, but he seems to prefer to be on a more attacking. He makes more attacking runs, right?
Would you start Amad Diallo on the wing, right wing?
Oh yes, that's a good one.
I forgot about him. Yeah, but it's a tough call actually. Too much talent on the wings.
Could be a case to push out
Actually,
Rashford.
between Garnacho and Rashford.
Basically, the question I guess is Ahmad on the right, Garnacho on the left better than
Correct.
Garnacho on the right, Rashford on the left?
Correct. So based on last season's performances, Rashford doesn't deserve to be in the starting lineup, but he'll be there. He'll be there, right? You don't leave your 300 plus K a week player on the bench.
Anthony, Jadon Sancho, no.
Well, Anthony, do we really need to get into that?
Let's
Jadon
not.
Sancho. Jadon Sancho is an interesting thing. It was a pretty big surprise that he actually made peace with Ten Hag, or Ten Hag made peace with him, whatever. But no, don't think he's starting over Garnacho or even Diallo.
Do you agree with the assessment, Greg?
I think Sancho has a lot to prove. I think there was a lot of noise in the media whenever he did something at Dortmund last season when he was on loan. But overall, from what I gather and from what I hear from my friends who do watch more football than I do, is that Jadon Sancho has, in the games where he's not really been doing anything, has been kind of rubbish.
Yeah.
So he really does. I mean, sure, making peace with Ten Hag is one step to getting back into the team, but he also he really needs to fight for his place this season and show that he's up for it because, I mean, let's face it, some of our wing options are really less than stellar, especially when it comes to guys like Anthony and Sancho. So if he's hell-bent on staying, then he really needs to show it. He really needs to prove it.
What about you, Nas? What's your starting lineup? And of course, I'm interested to know about your wing options.
I would go largely the same, but Garnacho on the left and either Diallo or Mason Mount on the right. I don't love Mason Mount on the right, but I would rather play him over Anthony. And I would rather play him on the right if it lets Garnacho go play his best position. Unless we know for sure Rashford is, in a good run of form, because right now, Rashford is not a young player anymore. And he's had more bad seasons than good seasons. And when he's bad, he's rubbish.
Yep. No Ahmad for you?
I wouldn't start him, but he definitely should have more game time.
And what will you have for your striker? Now we have
Hoyland
Hoyland
definitely should start,
and
but
Zirkzee as
I
well.
hope Xerxes, however you want to pronounce it, Xerxes,
Just say
gets.
Zirkzee. Don't be pretentious.
I would like for him to get more game time than just coming on in the last 10 minutes, So it'll be interesting. He's very different to Hoyland, so yeah. But he's not a 20-25 goal a season striker. He's more of he's a good link-up player. But the issue with that is if Joshua Zirkzee is the one striker who's dropping back deep, then he's going to sort of also take up Bruno's space, and that again only works if the two wingers are going to score. And if Rashford isn't having a good season, then
Maybe Bruno will be on the right.
I don't like Bruno on the right. I really don't like Bruno on the right. But yeah, I hope that doesn't happen.
Some say that Zirkzee's place in the team is to help unlock Rashford.
From what I've seen of Zirkzee and kind of based on what Thiago, his coach Thiago Motta at Bologna said, he does look a little bit. Okay, I won't say he is a Ronaldinho type. He is like Ronaldinho, but he does have the trappings of a Ronaldinho-esque kind of playmaker. The cute little touches, the really exquisite kind of goals he scores. He could be a very interesting player. Unlocking Rashford, I'm not so sure because the main person who can unlock Marcus Rashford is probably Rashford himself, because I feel
Yep.
a lot of it for Rashford is really just it's a mental thing. When he's on the up, things are fine, but when the problem is when United start conceding goals and when your shoulders against the wheel, he really it's really more of a mental thing about fighting for the badge, keeping your head up despite all the difficulties that's going on. That said, one thing I feel about Rashford is that he needs to look up more and not feel like he needs to take on every single thing on his own. So maybe in that sense, that's where Zirkzee comes in. I think the main thing is going to be whether or not the defenders can cover that huge chasm that we had in
midfield.
Yeah. So ideally, if Ugarte comes in, that should help plug that gap. But I think the main thing is, if we can close that gap and really give the defenders and the goalkeeper that kind of protection that they need to press on and attack. I don't really see things changing a lot much. Although last season the FA Cup final was a pretty good template of how we can really beat the larger teams, where basically we just blew City away in that game, and they didn't bring their A game, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the FA Cup final, Hoyland didn't start. Is that the template though?
Maybe actually, right? I mean, we're gonna have Zirkzee. How do you say it? Zirkzee. Yeah.
I'm not gonna try again.
Yeah, we have Zirkzee, right? We have Zirkzee now, and
yes,
he would make I guess a suitable false nine type player as well. The role that Bruno kind of played in the FA Cup final.
Last year in preseason, Jadon Sancho played false nine and was quite good.
I do believe that a lot of the potential incomings depends quite heavily on us selling players, right? And the two most likely players who might be sold at the moment, of course, for significant sums, would be Wan-Bissaka and potentially Jadon Sancho. PSG's interested. Hopefully they follow through with that. I did think for a little while also that Rasmus Højlund could potentially also be deployed as a wide attacker.
Like Anelka for Chelsea.
Yeah, perhaps, yes. He's got pace to burn, can run in from the side with potentially Zirkzee in the middle.
He's left-footed, right? Højlund?
Yes.
So he could play on the right and solve all our issues.
or yeah, correct.
Actually, we usually do this at the end, but there was a listener question, and the question that has come in is, if you could bring back one United player from the last 10 years for the current team, one player, who would it be? I would say though, just to keep it interesting, let's not pick Rooney Ronaldo, So
Okay.
who would you pick, Greg?
Greg, who would you pick?
If you go back 10 years, that's kind of like Moyes era, right?
10 years
Yes, so
is very limiting.
very limiting, correct. So from the moment Ferguson left
From the moment Fergie left.
till now, if you could bring back one player, who would it be?
How great would it be Morgan Schneiderlin?
Oh man, if we could have Pete Morgan Schneiderlin, oh my god.
Yeah, like Rooney was still there, but there was an old Rooney. Of it, he broke the scoring record after after
Under Van
United,
Gaal, yeah.
yeah, under Van Gaal. But like I said, let's not pick Rooney. Let's not pick Ronaldo.
To fix the current woes that we have,
Hmm.
you know who wouldn't be a bad choice? And the Herrera.
I love Ander Herrera. Easily one of the top three for me. I tell Ewan all the time how much I love Ander Herrera.
Yeah,
One of the best signings we made post Fergie.
Love him. I love him as
Yeah.
well.
I was thinking if you go back a little bit more, if I could pick one player from the last maybe 15 years, 15, maybe 16, I would take Owen Hargreaves in a
Yeah, I
heartbeat.
mean,
Owen Hargreaves, yeah.
Hargreaves or Carrick, but yeah. If he's the last 10, definitely. Maybe not definitely, but Herrera is definitely up there, I think.
And Carrick's not a bad choice either.
Ewan, what do you think?
Who would I bring back? I guess I would not go for Ander Herrera since both of you kind of like are going for him.
I'm not sure if my pick is Ander Herrera. He's top 3 for me.
10 years.
Yeah.
The last 10 years were years to forget. You do know that, right?
Definitely. So I would preface it, like I said, no, we're not going to pick Rooney Ronaldo, but let's just say, for argument's sake, it's the non-Ferguson players.
Okay.
So this also rules out Van Persie. So anyone after Van Persie.
Who was here after that? Man, it's like washed out the memories.
Yeah, so I mean,
Come on,
Lukaku,
you
Zlatan, Pogba, Mkhitaryan, Fellaini.
Di Maria. Okay, I have an answer actually.
What?
I would love to have the pie back actually.
Hmm.
You know, he didn't really kick on with us, but after he left, his career kind of, you know, it took a quite an upward trajectory.
Yes.
And I've always wondered, you know, how he would do if he were to return at his peak.
I get what you're saying, and I agree with everything you're saying, except that in the current team now, where would Depay play?
He's been playing striker, so that's where he'll be.
Or he would pick him over Højlund?
I believe he scores more goals than Højlund, so yeah.
Are we considering Zlatan or Pogba?
Oh, that's a can of worms. Okay, Zlatan, yes, I would. I mean, I would take Zlatan back in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
yeah, Zlatan,
my top 3 are Zlatan, Ander Herrera, and Daley Blind, actually.
Oh, Daley Blind, yeah. Daley Blind was
Lovely
good.
Daley
I
Blind.
like Daley Blind. Smart player. Not very fast though.
So we mentioned, we deviated a bit just now, and I hope, Matt, your question has been answered, but we were talking about playing style just now, and Greg, you mentioned that the one thing you really hope and really want is to not see that gaping chasm in midfield. And this question was put to Ten Hag many times as well, like, how do you deal with, you know, conceding so many shots, you know? It's a stupid number of shots. And I saw a thing where if you look at the expected goals conceded for United, even though they conceded a lot of shots, and the argument was that, oh, you know, they're all low quality shots, but, you know, United should be 15th, not 8th.
If we had conceded all the expected
yes
goals.
So on
us.
one hand, Onana has done amazingly well, even though he's made a number of mistakes. But yeah, that's something that really needs to be addressed. And yeah, I think the fact that, you know, among the 3 of us, we still don't know what's the best midfield configuration, and our one new defender has got injured, and of what we assume the starting back 4 is, 2 of the remaining 3 are also rather injury prone. That's quite a concern.
I think the problem is that at this point in time of recording, our 2 signings being, you know, the main signings being Yoro and Zirkzee, the majority of the squad still hasn't changed from last season. So it's difficult to predict anything much different compared to last season, I would say.
Yeah, I think it'll be really important to get players like Shaw and Martinez back, because they will, I believe those 2 will really help with the problem of, you know, conceding shots and defending.
And build up as well. because they're both
Yeah,
very good passes.
that's right. And I think also you when you mentioned your Naz, when you mentioned your starting 11, you would put Mount on the right wing. He will probably play quite an important role this season with his. I think has been made about his versatility, his willingness to make runs and attack. But I think one of the main reasons that Ten Hag signed him was because he off the ball he works very hard.
Mhm.
So assuming you don't have a guy, a dedicated defensive midfielder like your Ugarte or your Casemiro's or your Amrabat, he
Mm.
could probably fill in. I feel he could probably fill in, do a job with Kobe Menu, and together sort of provide enough, well, not necessarily enough, but they should be an adequate enough a shield to give the defense a bit of a helping hand.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think I agree with you. Yeah. I think that only works if Martinez, Yoro, Luke Shaw, and all are fit. Because if we don't have the ball, then neither Kobe Mino or Mason Mount, they're good pressers, but they're not defensive midfielders, right?
Yeah, I mean the best thing is we get Ugarte,
Mm.
or somehow Casemiro finds his Indian summer.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I was looking at an Instagram post just now and basically said that he's on 350K a week.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a lot of
So
money.
I mean, if we can get a good offer from maybe Saudi,
Mm.
I mean, it might be a good chance to move him on. But at the same time, yeah, I do hope he gets a shot at redemption and prove people wrong.
Yeah, but yeah, if we get the offer, 100% sell him.
I would sell him even if the Ugarte deal is not confirmed. I think it's important to get those wages off the books if
Yep.
we're not even sure he's going to be starting.
No room
Yeah,
for
definitely.
sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's maybe it's not even sentiment, but also if you're Ugarte or any Rabio or any other defensive midfielder that's going to come in, you're going to say, "Hey, look, you have your other defensive mid there on 350K. You're bringing me in to replace him, so."
You gotta give me 350K.
Mhm. So based on all that we've said so far, Greg, Nas, where do you think United will finish? What do you expect to see from them, perhaps? And who do you think will be, kind of a standout or flops in the upcoming season?
I think for me, for the last few years, it's been about I've had a really low bar when it comes to expectations. Although I think last season the team they really went below the bar.
Definitely, definitely.
I think the most important thing is to keep in mind is that right now, even though Ineos has come in and they've been quick with their transfers, I think we're still in a transitional stage. I mean the fact that we signed Lenny Yoro was a coup, but he won't transform the way that we play, but he will give us that foundation that we need to go forward. So as long as the performances are there, I mean, you don't see, even if you're going down 2-3-0, you still, if the players are still fighting to try and at least, get something done, I won't really complain that much. At the same time, I think we also need to be a bit more realistic and, unless we lose the whole first team squad to injury for 6 months, I think we need to be in the conversation for the top four.
So if you look at the state of the Premier League now, which teams are obviously better than United? City and Arsenal for sure. In terms of both have good squads, good managers, a settled playing style. Liverpool, who knows how Arne Slot is going to do? They haven't really made any major signings as well. In a squad that has already been, showing signs of age and a bit. Newcastle might lose more players. Villa punching above their weight probably last year. Chelsea, being Chelsea. I would say that if Ten Hag isn't at least pushing top 4, top 5 by Christmas, he'll be under a lot of pressure.
So I see probably the expectation would be at least sneaking into the Champions League position. Is it
Mm.
correct? How important do you think more new signings would be to helping us achieve that? So we mentioned earlier that the current squad looks a little too similar still, right, to last season's squad. No real first team starter apart from Zirkzee and Yoro have come in. So we're still in for Ugarte. We're still in for, I'm guessing, Rabiot. I haven't heard of it for a few days now.
And Mazraoui.
And Mazraoui as well. So,
Mm.
How important do you think these getting these guys will be to helping us achieve that?
I think it's really important simply because, like you said earlier, the issue we had last year, well, one of the issues was that when we had injuries, we couldn't cover. We definitely, now we at least have a backup striker now. We need at least one more midfielder, ideally two. We need at least one more central defender, ideally two. Luke Shaw is our left back who's been injured more than half the time Ten Hag has been around. Tyrell Malacia is the other left back who wasn't even registered last season. That's how bad the injury was. People forgot he existed. Other options at left back are Lindelof, who is not even a fullback. Darlow, who is decent, but he's our best right back. So if you want to consider Darlow as the backup left back, you need another right back.
Yeah.
And if we're selling Wan Bissaka, we need a right back anyway. So yeah, I mean, I think incomings are really, really important. It's hard to say who's coming in.
The thing that keeps me hopeful is that, yeah, we have the kids, and the kids really do look all right. At left back, you have Harry and Mess. Central midfield, you have Toby Collier. And if Ten Hag works his magic and, gives these guys minutes to prove themselves and, make bloods them and, gets them ready for the league, I think he'll be in a good place. But yeah, real minimum has got to be fifth.
I have a feeling that if United don't start with like 8 wins out of 10, I think he will really push the Europa League. If after the first half of the season, top 4 isn't bang on, they'll probably think Europa League is the way to go to secure Champions League.
Ten Hag looks like a cup specialist, don't you think?
2 cups in 2 years.
Yeah.
More than Poch.
Poch, yes. Manager version of Wesley Schneider, yes. Who do you think, will star? Who do you think will flop? And, who do you think will be a surprise package? Just one name each. Greg?
I think you can't go very wrong or very far with Lenny Yoro as a star, because he looks like he will definitely, I think when we get him back fit, hopefully he comes back soon, and gets more time in the squad. But he looked the business against Rangers.
Do you think then we will not sign Matthias de Ligt and Yoro is going to be the starting centre back?
No,
Or
I
do you
think
think even with limited time he'll obviously be a star?
it depends on how comfortable they are with Maguire, I guess. But I would probably sign De Ligt for that security. But Yoro looks like a real talent, and I guess that's why Real wanted him so bad. Who's gonna flop?
Who's gonna flop?
Don't say Anthony.
Oh man, that's a hard one now.
Anthony is too easy a target, I think.
Oh, the horrible thought just crossed my mind, considering what a wonderful season he's had. But hopefully he can keep up the standards from last season. But my God, Mainu had a really good season last season, and I won't be surprised if, I won't say he will flop completely and suddenly become rubbish, but the league might be able to deal with him better this season than what we saw last season.
Yeah.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, this doesn't come to pass. But yeah, hopefully Mainu continues to deliver and surprise us.
Speaking of surprises, who do you think is going to surprise us this season?
Yeah, who will be a surprise?
I'll go with Mason Mount because, like I said, horrible run of injuries, couldn't really show what he had. But if he's not being, I think he'll have a role to play because he's versatile, he's hardworking, and I think if he keeps fit and proves it and works hard, I think he will come good. He will come good.
So Nas, who will be your star, flop, and surprise?
I think Garnacho is going to have a good season. He played a lot last season. Faded a bit near the end, though he did score in the FA Cup final. But I think he has the personality to sort of, he wants to be a star, and he has the ability and mentality to do it. Because like Greg earlier, you talked about like Rashford, for example, who seems to shrink a bit when the pressure is on. Garnacho seems to relish it.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
We haven't seen him as the main man, but at the same time, there were many instances last year where it fell on him to do something, and he did, and he largely delivered. For flop, I think Rashford might have another bad season.
Mm.
I just
Yep.
after a really poor last 12 months, then not going to the Euros. Because like Greg earlier, you said that, it's on him, it's in his head, his mentality, it's the responsibility is on him to pick himself up and to show, like prove his quality.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, when has he done that? His entire United career, he had the breakout season under Van Gaal. He had another good year under Solskjaer, and he had one good year under Ten Hag. I would argue that in none of those seasons, his form was down to his own doing.
Yep.
I think the surprise, one of the youngsters like a Harry Amas might be the surprise if like Shaw is going to be injured all the time. Harry Amas is very, very highly rated among the youth setup. So it remains to be seen if he actually is going to be included in like the league squad. But I kind of hope he does.
My star, I was thinking Garnacho as well. I don't think it's difficult to see past either him or Menu. I was tempted to say Rashford because
Okay.
he seems to be alternating between good and bad seasons.
Yeah.
And perhaps Zirkzee really would bring out the best in Rashford for all you know. But no, that's nonsense. I would sell him as well. For flop, again, just as discussed, Rashford.
Mm.
If he doesn't start, he'll be flopping. There's no
Yep.
in between for Rashford. It seems he really needs to point like all his fingers to his head, probably. And
Can I just point out that
yeah,
Rashford, even in the seasons where he was good, only scored 17 goals in the league.
he's not elite level even
Yeah.
when he did well.
I agree with you, and I think that's the problem. People expect him to be like a Salah, like a Haaland, like an Aguero, like but he's not that level.
Nah, he's not. Agreed.
With that in mind, his bad seasons is still very far from that level, from any level. Yeah.
And surprise. Okay, man. Here's the good one.
Okay.
I think Anthony will be the surprise.
Anthony. Oof.
Yes. You heard it
Wow.
here first. Yes.
Wow.
Surprise indeed.
He would
Surprisingly good,
exceed
you
all.
mean? Or surprisingly even
Yes,
worse?
surprisingly good. I don't
Huh.
think there can be a surprise anymore if he does badly. But he would prove that he, okay, probably not. He won't prove that he's worth 100 mil, but he will definitely prove that he can do better than what everybody makes him out to be.
That is a bold claim.
Heard it here first.
That's definitely getting clipped out and posted all over social media.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we've come to the end of our discussion for Man United. So Greg, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, before you go, Greg,
Yeah.
Nas, he plays Helldivers as well,
Uh,
but on the PC.
Never mind, can crossplay, it's fine. It's not
Yeah,
like FIFA.
crossplay.
Yeah. There's going to be an update
Escalation of freedom.
that we can escalate freedom
Nice.
for National Day.
Yes, correct. Hey, thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, man.
Okay,
Go fight
thanks,
for
Greg.
democracy now. So there you have it, our discussion on Man United and the upcoming season. What do you think? Do you think the team will do well? Do you think there'll be more transfers coming in? Or will the squad just remain, as it is? Will Jadon Sancho and Rashford be sold to PSG? We certainly hope so. Yes, once again, if you do have any comments, any feedback, do leave, a comment below or drop us an email at gamesensefootball@gmail.com. Or you can find us on Instagram at gamesensefootball as well. So till the next episode, where we will be doing an EPL quiz.
EPL quiz.
Yes, quiz once again. I'm prepared to lose in the shootout once again.
Let's see.
I hate those shootouts. So, if you like quizzes, do stay tuned for the next episode. And till next time, see ya.
See you. Joshua Xerxes. I don't know.
Oh my god.